Hi, I'm Megan. I am a social work intern here at Tri-County CMO, and I have with me my mother.
And I'm Heidi. I am a network director for spiritual care, so I am a chaplain in a hospital, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah. So why are we here, Mom?
We're here to talk about me being a lesbian and coming out later in life. So I was in my 40s when I came out, and how old were you?
I was 13.
Yeah, so Meg was 13. And before that, we were a family of 4, married to Megan's father, and she has a younger brother.
How long were you and Dad married for? Like 14 years?
15 years.
15
so
years.
We were married for 15 years. And in my, I guess my faith journey, right, I came back to God in my 30s, to my relationship with God, and then began becoming more comfortable with who I am. And also, eventually I ended up going to seminary, and that's really when things kind of turned around for me. I was in a seminary that is very diverse, very supportive, and I found a friend family there that offered me that support. So, and it was also very much about accepting who I was, and that was very entwined with knowing that and coming to an understanding that God, now that I understood that God loved me no matter what, right? I had parents that I was raised in a very conservative family, and I had no context for being a lesbian, being gay. I knew when I was very young, probably 7, I could probably go back to when I was 7 years old, and knowing that.
You had a crush on your teacher?
No, actually, I had a crush on a girlfriend. She did not know. But I knew it was different, right? I knew it was different for me, but I had no context for it. I lived in a heterosexual world. I lived in a world where the expectation was you go to school, you graduate high school, you go to college, you have a career, you get married, and you have children. And that's what I did, right? Because that's what I knew. And then just in the formation of myself and accepting myself and understanding that it was okay to be myself, and I was more authentic, right? It's really hard as you discern a call to ministry, because it is a part of this, to be authentic with others if I'm not true to myself. How do I hear other people's truths and accept them if I'm not speaking my own? So it was very much a roller coaster. It wasn't a decision I made overnight. It was probably a 5-year process for me. At one point I would be saying, okay, no, I have to stay where I am because we had this beautiful family, and it was a beautiful family. Or do I sacrifice that for being me? And it became to a point where I almost didn't have a choice. And that's when it started kind of coming to fruition, you know. I don't remember telling you. I don't. Do
Telling
you?
me what?
That I was a lesbian, that I was going to have
Yes.
a girlfriend, that I was going to be dating.
Well,
I know I didn't tell you till I was kind of dating.
Yes,
somebody.
you did. You didn't say that, the dating piece. We went one step at a time. But
Do you remember?
Yes, we were actually in the car.
We were?
Yes, we were in the car.
Another
and
family meeting?
It was a family meeting. I don't know where we were going, but it was me, you, and James. And you're just like, hey guys, I have something to say. And we were
a
like,
captive audience. You guys couldn't go
Yes.
anywhere.
And at this point, they were already divorced. So, it's like, oh, here we go. It's like, what's the next one? And you just kind of said it. I mean, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but I do specifically, very vividly remember being in the car on the way somewhere, and you were
No recollection.
yeah, and we were just having a conversation. And I also remembering part of me wasn't like shocked either. And I don't know exactly why, but it wasn't like the most shocking news. I think the divorce was more shocking than you coming out. Same thing for James. I mean, I don't think James was super shocked by it either. I know at that point I wasn't as inquisitive. It was more of like, okay, I'm not really sure what that means. And I do remember James having more questions, like, what does that look like? And what does that mean? And at that time he was probably like 12, I'm like 14, 15 around that time. Or no, you came out at 13. So so that would make him, I was 13.
He was 11.
He was probably like 11 or 10. Yeah. He was a little more inquisitive about it, and I was a little more reserved. And then I know for me, that really didn't, I was like, okay, like, my mom's gay. And I didn't really knew what that meant until it wasn't so much, like, of course I knew what that meant, but I didn't really know the gravity of that as far as what that looks like as a lifestyle.
How it manifested.
Yes, until other people started recognizing her as a LGBTQ member and finding out that my parent was gay, at school. It affected, we went to church, so it came up at church. So as people were finding out and they started having their own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, opinions on the situation, that's when I really realized what that meant. I was not, at that age really anticipating that changing anything. It's like, okay, you're still my mom. That doesn't change. You just like women, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, as far as I'm concerned. So, like, we're good. But then I realized what that really meant, for everyone else. And then I was like, oh, this is not what I was anticipating. Because there was a lot of opinions. And there were, not so much me, but on her end, she had lost friends, and my brother had lost friends. Our relationship with the church changed. The way people saw me as a teenager changed, because naturally I had my own struggles as a teenager, and that was displaced on her being gay. I'm troubled because my mom's gay, So that's when I really realized, and that was the hardest part for me, I think, was just because at that age, you have a hard time separating other people's opinions from your own. You don't really feel like you don't have that independence yet. And it's like being torn between living up to everybody else's expectations and then the reality of your own. And that was probably the most difficult piece for me. And not having any control over that, because when you're a teenager, you don't have control over what's going on in your household. You don't really have too much control over what your parent doesn't do. And that was it felt like a major loss of control. Like I didn't have control over what was going on in my own life. So that was really difficult for me. And she recognized that. And one of the biggest pieces that was really helpful for me at that time, and why I'm even in the field that I'm in of social work, is she took me to see a therapist. And that was a life-changing experience.
I felt like we were all in therapy. You were the one that was going, but you were just coming home and saying, guess what I did with Dr. Farmer.
Like, look at me. Exactly.
Look what I learned today, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was good. I mean, that was a good thing that we did.
And at first, when I was told I was
the
going
day
to therapy,
we were going was horrible.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
I was told that I was going to see a therapist, and I was like, me. I was like, oh no. No. You all need to see your therapist. I'm the one who's getting hit with everything. It's not me,
And her dad and I were both on the same page, so it wasn't like she had an out. So we all got in the car and we all went.
Yes, it was a very unified front. And I told them I will not speak to him. I will not open my
I'm
mouth.
just going to sit there.
I'll just stare at him. I don't care. I'm not compliant. I'm not nothing. I'm not doing anything with this.
I am not going to engage.
Yeah. And what I heard was that there was something wrong with me and how I was addressing it is what I heard. And I'm the one that needed to be fixed. That was the message I heard. So, but when I got there, I mean, I felt
Not
like I was...
heard from us though, right?
No, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Or was it just the fact of us saying you're going to therapy because you need to talk to somebody other than me and other than your father?
That was the message you said. That is not what I heard.
Okay.
But yes, she did say that, you know, you need someone outside of us to talk to. You did say that. I remember you saying that, but that is not what I heard.
Okay.
So therapy was really big because he, you know, I looked at him, I was like, am I losing my freaking marbles here? And he's like, no. I was like, thank you. Like, oh my gosh. Like that meant so much to me. So, and then he started showing, you know, we started doing therapy together and I thought that was so cool. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So it put it, just like your experience put you on your life course, it also put me on mine.